Okay, well.
Hey, greetings, friends, and welcome to Thursday, January 6th, a day that will live in infamy in my book. I don't know about yours, but anyway, we can discuss. I will apply the same rule of thumb that I use to describe other historic events of such heinous magnitude. Never forget. Lulu adds a certain piquant touch to the proceedings, good to me. Okay. So, hopefully that'll take your mind off the events of a year ago, but it's happening again now. I mean, in so many ways. These idiot Republicans who insist that it was a bunch of tourists, yeah, it was just a day. In January, there was a whole drumbeat to this day, as we all know. And these people on Fox News, they're not just actors, they're liars. They're, I mean, absolute scoundrels, and that they get paid the big bucks to repeat ad infinitum and hammer these talking points of, you know, idiotic, wannabe dictatorish nonsense about vaccinations and, you know, why you should report young people that are being abused as children if you see them getting a vaccine. This Tucker Carlson guy, I mean, where does he get off? But what's frightening is he has so many eyes and ears on him as if he is the oracle of and the fount of wisdom. It's just, it goes against every fiber of my being in terms of the way my mom and dad raised me and my siblings. Yeah, you could say we were left liberals, but beyond that, I'm for victims everywhere. And the police who died in the service, I mean, how many were injured? 70, 75 police were injured. You know, peace officers who were there trying to do their job by this, you know, this cabal. It was definitely a coup attempt. And no attempt at whitewashing this will ever take away the stain on the escutcheon of the United States after that. So anyway, here we are a year later. I think Biden said the right thing this morning, but like the battle lines have been drawn. If you know the Buffalo Springfield song, well, that's a paraphrase, but you know, which side are you on? We want progress. We want, you know, to go forward in a less fearful climate, because things are just seemingly getting darker all around us with voter suppression attempts. I mean, these Republicans they have, as Lenny Bruce once said, they have bullshit that doesn't quit. And to have actively worked in so many of these swing states to try and ensure a favorable outcome to their election prospects in the next election is sickening to me. And I hope they do, you know, abolish the filibuster. Everything Schumer is trying to get done, I support. And Nancy Pelosi, et cetera, all these people. Merrick Garland's speech was great, I thought. But, you know, to live right amongst this in a bubble, which is basically New York, Manhattan, you're not going to get too many people who are going to have an argument on these issues. Going into the outer boroughs, though, yeah, you probably would. But I think, you know, it's healthy to have dialogues as long as you don't take a swing at the other person. But I pretty much laid it on the line how I feel about it. I'm just, you know, it makes me really ashamed to be American, especially going abroad, and people look at us like, what the hell is going on in your country? That we're fighting such, you know, idiotic, not just culture wars, but these political battles. Everyone should take a deep breath and stand back. But I have to say, I have to vent, not to spew, on this year-on date. All you'd have to do is just look at the footage. You know, I hope they just keep running it. They cannot really wish that away. To me, it's as crucial and as like polarizing as any. Yeah, I mean, thank God it wasn't of the level of the Holocaust footage that was turned up after the end of World War II. But it's pretty frightening to think that these yahoos and, you know, lunatics went in there on the say-so of the commander-in-chief to trash the place and try and stop the vote and threaten death to Mr. Pence, who has been largely absent from the conversation except to once in a while say a cheerful word or two on behalf of his boss, who's still the boss. He has the ear of the whole Republican Party. And I don't know what it is. I mean, do you really feel safer under these guys? I mean, Biden's had his problems, but there's nothing in the Republican playbook that offered me much cheer in the 4 years under Donald Trump at all. And it just basically upset me. And sad to say, I did call it as Caroline would attest, and also my close friends, in the run-up to the election, everybody thought I was insane. I said, well, I would say, he could probably win, because it seems to me, taking the temperature of the body politic, that we're right on time to a demagogue, right about now. And, it's going on, and I don't want to have to count the ways, but these strong men are what frightened people seem to prop up and cling to, because everyone else seems to be clueless if they're not on their smartphone or watching Netflix or whatever. They've got as like mindless entertainment to distract one from the issues at hand. And okay, so enough on me and my rant and obsessions. But okay, so there is some good news on a personal nature going forward, but I can't reveal it yet. But if you keep tuning in, it won't be revealed. I feel like Earl Rootsman Chin from Rockers 80 was a great reggae cable TV show here in New York. For about 8 solid months every week on a Sunday morning, the show would come on. And Earl Rootsman Chin would interview Jamaican reggae artists and local Brooklyn Jamaican reggae artists, and it was a great show. So he started teasing everybody like, we're going to have Mr. Keith Richards on next week. I tell you, I promise, it's really happening. He's come back. He said this about, it went on about 8 months, so what would that be? At least 32 times, promising Keith, and then eventually Keith turned up. I guess it had been in the can, but it was a good teaser, to try and keep the stats, bump them up, and keep them up. And Keith didn't have much to say when he finally did an appearance, but the reason being was he had been spending a lot of time in Jamaica. I mean, who wouldn't? One of the best holidays we ever took was in the Grill. I'd love to go back there. And he'd been working with Peter Tosh, as well as Ras Michael and the Sons of Negus. And this is a neat segue into saying, if you do get Mubi, which I would recommend, I gave Caroline a year's subscription to Mubi, because I wanted to see it. She could care less about these foreign films. No, that's not fair to say, but she's preoccupied with the current popular actors of the day insofar as her business is concerned. Okay, so the other day I did produce Rockers, a great film made in Jamaica, circa, was it 1980, 81. When it came out in a theatrical release, me and my buddies saw it at least 4 or 5 times in cinemas. Well, that was the only way you could see it, right? And loved it each time. And I had the soundtrack on Island, and there's so much good music and so many lights of reggae make little cameo appearances, including the Cool Ruler, Gregory Isaacs, and some obscure ones, Dillinger as a walk-on in there. You have to see it because they have subtitles, because the patois is fairly incomprehensible to a non-Jamaican speaking person. But I know Andy Cherto, my old friend, Papa Andy, would give this a thumbs up. Papa Andy has a great reggae show. He lived for some years in Jamaica, and he's a great guy I want to give a shout out to. But so see if you can check that out. You gotta get Mubi though. It's certainly worth it. They had a deal, it was like $84 for a year. And I've seen a bunch, let's see, State Funeral, which was a compilation of footage of Stalin's funeral. Fascinating documentary, just amazing. I mean, if Trump goes out in such a way, he would want to go out in such a grand way, it. Some of the shots were unbelievable, including a shot, an aerial shot looking down on Stalin in his casket, all prettified and laid out there. Just amazing. And Serge Lamita, who's a Ukrainian filmmaker, did this. He's made many documentaries, but he also made an incredible film, dark film, called My Joy. If you ever get a chance, check that one out if you have a strong stomach. Some of it is pretty graphic, but it's one of the darkest, deepest movies to come out of Eastern Europe in the last 10 years. And about 10 years ago, I was a judge at the Synergia Łódź Film Festival with some other cineasts. And that film won. We gave it the Judges Award as the best film that we saw there, but it's not for everybody, what can I say? Also really good is The Lost Daughter, Maggie Gyllenhaal's directorial debut. As you know, Carol and I are tremendous fans of Elena Ferrante, who's largely, for some reason, unknown to most Italians because she's never been interviewed on TV, which seems to be a prerequisite of achieving any sort of fame and notoriety in Italy on a big scale. But, you know, her books have been translated and had been bestsellers in about 75 countries. So just saying, I hope more Italian people pick up on her work. But anyway, this was quite a good transliteration of her book. She did lend herself to review it, but she left it alone. I just read an interview with her about the process, and it's really good. What can I say? It was maybe the best film that we saw in this whole period, and now we have to leave in a minute to go see Licorice Pizza. In the Cinepolis Theater, the deluxe Cinepolis Grand on 23rd Street, which is probably the most luxurious theatrical experience you can get in Greater Manhattan. I mean, insofar as the seats tilt back and become little beds, little cots. They'll also serve you at your seat. Not that I require that. That's a little trick from Alamo Drafthouse. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I really like Paul Thomas Anderson quite a bit. Boogie Nights was fantastic. My favorite is The Master, which is not to everybody's taste. There Will Be Blood was amazing. You know, always worth seeing, so I'm looking forward to this quite a bit. And that's about it. Also on the top Gary 5 list films of the year. Benedetto, Paul Verhoeven, excellent. The Hand of God, Paolo Sorrentino. What else, Caroline? What did we see? The Beatles. The Beatles on Apple. I got a bootleg copy. It was quite good, so I didn't have to be forced to join. To go behind the paywall to see it. But one of the most uplifting. It was like spending 8.5 hours with the Beatles in their prime, and what a fantastic bunch of guys. And we could discuss this further, but time's up. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I'll think of some other films to tell you. Meanwhile, I gotta sift through the latest London Review of Books just arrived with a piece by Ian Penman. Better than Beyonce. I don't know what he's talking about. Ian Penman was a really good writer for The Enemy back in the day. And he's moved on to Literary Review Hood. Also, the TLS just arrived. So I'm looking forward to this. It's a good way to catch up on books that I'll never read, probably. So, saying that, keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Don't take any wooden nickels. Wear that mask. Watch out, strange kin people. I'll see you on Saturday at 3 o'clock. Love you.